Mr. Phillips, the shipment just arrived from Chicago, and Bill and Shipping would like to know how you want to break it down.
Joe, Marcy. Call me Joe.
It's Marcia.
Okay, whatever. Tell you what, why don't you stick around later and you can help me break down the shipment, and afterwards we can sit back and relax. I'll call in for some of that hot and spicy pizza from Domino's. You do like it hot and spicy, don't you, Marcia?
Tonight's not good for me, Joe. I have previous plans.
Suit yourself. Well, the old hot and spicy would do you some good. Cut! Excellent read, guys. I don't know, Don. Does that really constitute sexual harassment? Shouldn't Joe be more blatant about what he wants from Marcia? What?
Marcia. No, I think Marcia knew exactly what Joe wanted, Gordon. I think that situation was very threatening for her.
Lucy's right, Gordon. I did some research on the project and read some court documents. And, well, I don't want to get into a lot of lawyer speak, but we can define workplace harassment as improper or unwelcome conduct. The key word here is unwelcome. If you know, or it's reasonable that you should know, that your conduct is unwelcome, then you could be guilty of harassment.
So we're not talking just sexual harassment here, but all harassment in the workplace?
Right.
But who defines what's reasonable? I see the next scene is about abuse of authority. Now, lots of people get into positions of power and let their egos run wild. But where do you draw the line and call it harassment?
Why don't we rehearse the next scene? We'll discuss it afterwards. Let's set it up.
Okay,
It's a boardroom, and Jasmine, you're Don Cutler. You're going to play Dave Schwartz, and the financial analyst, and we'll be in the boardroom. And
Okay, people, listen up. I've just come from a senior managers meeting. And let me tell you, it was embarrassing. Boy, this department's got a long way to go to get up to speed with the rest of the organization. And on top of that, last night I was forced to read this piece of incoherent garbage, which our so-called financial analyst calls a monthly report. Is this your best work, Dave?
Well,
Because if this is the best you can do, the fact that your sorry butt is still warming a chair in this company after 18 years doesn't say very much for my predecessor.
Well, but Dawn, if you'll just give me some direction.
You know something? You are one very strange man, Dave. Have you ever thought about getting professional advice? You don't work well in a team. Your computer skills are primitive. Your work is always late, and you spend half the day in the bathroom. I don't know what you do in there. You're going to do this report over, Dave. And you'll do it by the end of the day.
But Dawn, I thought you wanted the quarterly figures today.
Julia, why don't you do the quarterlies? I can't trust you with anything important. This meeting is over, people.
And cut! Excellent. It was really strong.
Oh, I mean, Dawn's behavior was completely unreasonable. I mean, she humiliated Dave in front of his co-workers. I mean, she just lost it.
If anybody treated me like that, number one, I would be so demotivated, and number two, I would start looking for another job.
Number three, I'd punch Dawn in the nose.
Okay, I agree with everyone that a case like that is pretty clear. But I once worked in a job where the harassment was a lot more subtle. It was more like the atmosphere was poisonous. At this place, one of the supervisors would say good morning to everyone, except this one woman. Her name was Anne. He would deliberately exclude her from conversations. He'd cut her off when she talked at meetings, or make a face that showed that he thought that she was just an idiot. It was belittling, and it really, really upset her. There was no way to put a report to anyone that would have made any sense. What do you do in that situation?
Well, what did Anne do?
She found another job, but it was for less pay. The supervisor had damaged her self-esteem so much, she thought that there was something wrong with her. And there wasn't. I think that supervisor had some kind of personality disorder.
Certainly is a tough one. If Anna wanted to take action in that situation, she would have had to keep a record of her supervisor's behavior, and then maybe brought that to her supervisor's boss and explained the situation confidentially. And maybe that person would have, done something about it. But maybe she just thought that nobody would believe her. Because the harassment was indirect.
Well, it sounds like that was a pretty bad place to work.
It was. A lot of people left after that.
I think we can see how hard it is to define harassment. I mean, everybody knows that what Anne's boss did was wrong. But I mean, the added burden for the organization was the effect on the morale, the productivity, and the profitability of the company. So, why don't we move on to the next scene? Okay, we're off to the cafe.
How about them Jays, eh?
Oh,
Boy, talk about taking a game down to the wire. Boy, you think we can get some beer in here?
Yeah, great. Hey, before we get back, we need to decide who to send to the Paris conference.
Oh yeah, it's an important trip. Beautiful city.
How about Janet? She's been doing great.
Janet, you want to send a woman with epilepsy to an international conference? No way. Hey, you heard this one? What do you do if you see an epileptic having a fit in a bathtub?
What?
Throw in your dirty laundry. Hey!
Okay, that was great. Jasmine, nice expression. Why don't we just move on to the next scene now?
Hold on a second, Don. Now, there's no way that Ken and Brian could know that Janet was right at the next table. So, okay, it was in poor taste, but it's hardly harassment.
I have to disagree with you, Gordon. I know this sounds far-fetched, but it's kind of like murder versus manslaughter. You didn't mean to kill someone, but your actions were so reckless that you're still guilty. Now, Brian didn't care what he said or who heard him say it, and Ken just laughed, which means he either agreed with Brian or he's too scared or weak to disagree.
Whichever way you look at it, it's not only harassment, but blatant discrimination against a woman with a medical condition. Okay, let's go on to the next scene.
Well, Paul, I want to thank you for helping me with this.
No problem, Ben. Taxes wait for no man, eh?
Yeah, I'll say. And they said computers would save time. I don't know, I think it was easier before. Who's sending me email at this time of night? I don't recognize this email address. Open attachment. Oh!
Who would send something like this?
Hate groups, white supremacists. Makes me sick, and it's not the first time.
But how did they get your email address?
I don't know, they have their ways. Somebody who knows I'm Jewish could have sent it to them.
You mean someone from inside the company?
I don't know, Paul.
Well, I'll tell you, Ben. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Cut! That was good, guys. Really great.
I've kind of had a similar experience. I worked in this office, and someone had copied a pornographic picture from the internet and emailed it to all the women in the department.
Did they find out who did it?
Yeah, the guy wasn't very smart. He left his return address on the emails. Oh, and then he said it was just a joke.
It's never a joke when it's unwelcome or improper. You know, electronic harassment's becoming more and more common. I bet you this company has a clear policy on harassment now.
Oh, yeah, they sure do. Well, that guy was just suspended for a while, but they make it very clear now that any kind of harassment, including phone, email, and internet, is going to get you fired.
Good. Why don't we move on to the next scene?
That's really nice, having a party for the whole department. Are you sure you want to have it at your place?
Oh, yeah, I got so much help from everyone on the Vancouver bit. It's the least I can do. Plus, it'll be fun.
I think we should invite the new mailman. He's kind of cute.
Ooh, Patricia Ryan.
What?
It's Ted Sproutly, the guy who lives with his mother.
Good morning, ladies. How are we doing today?
Fine, thanks, Ted.
Oh, yeah, just fine, Ted. I'm really busy, though.
Yeah, always lots to do. Well, nice catching up. Bye.
Bye, Ted.
God, do you think he knows about the party?
Oh, I doubt it. We really don't want Ted there, do we?
I gotta figure out a better way to do this. Maybe I can get an email list together.
Yeah.
Cut! Great, great, guys. Look, I guess we can see that it's not only insults and threats that constitute harassment, but deliberate exclusion from workplace social events or assignments, even normal conversation.
Okay, I agree that it's real mean what we just did to Ted, but I don't think anyone's going to haul you up in court and say that that's harassment.
I think you'd be surprised. I mean, if Ted or the person can show a pattern of deliberate exclusion, not just a one-off, they just might have a case.
Yeah, besides, I mean, this is stupid. It's just childish schoolyard behavior, you know?
Well, I don't know, Gordon. I mean, I think maybe they're just some people who give you the creeps.
But Ted wasn't doing anything creepy. He just looks and acts a little out of the ordinary. We have to accept a little diversity in the workplace, you know.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next scene, the ad agency one.
So, as you can see, we would gain a 62% recognition factor for the new Lawn Buddy within 6 weeks of the start of the campaign. But we'd have to start work soon so that we could be ready for the spring when the consumer is just starting to think about gardening. And that's it. So do you have any questions, Mr. Cantos?
I think it's a great campaign. I mean, don't you just love that bit with the leprechauns on the lawn, buddy? It's great.
I have never seen such a second-rate piece of work in my life. Leprechauns. We're trying to sell a lawn trimmer here. We're not chasing rainbows. I mean, I should have known as soon as you assigned this trainee to my account that I wasn't being taken seriously. Why I didn't fire you then and there, I'll never know.
Mr. Cantos, I'm really sorry that you're not happy.
Not happy? Miss Whitman is barely out of diapers. She's been on the account for 3 months, and it's obvious that she doesn't know anything about my company. She doesn't know anything about the lawn equipment industry. She knows even less about the advertising business. You know what you are? You're an idiot. And you gave her a job. Why don't you call me when you decide to give me somebody professional?
Look, Mr. Cantos, I'm sure that we can work this out. I mean, we do have other people, more senior, better qualified.
Call me when Miss Witless here no longer works for your company.
Why didn't you stick up for me? Well, you told him that you thought it was a great campaign.
Look, he's one of our biggest clients, okay? What did you do to make him so mad, anyway? We've got to give the man the service he expects.
The service he expects is for me to sleep with him. He hits on me practically every time we have a meeting.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because it was my big break. It was the first account that I could manage by myself.